What is going on, guys? So today we're back with another Pokemon Masters video, and today we're actually going to be taking a look into Grimsley and Liepard and trying to figure out if their usefulness in their kit actually makes it more than just a coin flip in terms of when we talk about scouting for them. Right off the bat, we are a dark type sync pair, which is just fine. We do have a bug type weakness, which is okay. There's not too many discerning issues with having a bug type weakness right now, but we are also a tech roll, which kinda sets us up for a weird position. Like, I don't really want anyone to get their hopes up in terms of damage output with Grimsley and Liepard, but I also don't want you to get your hopes up in terms of, are we gonna be like an everlasting, damage soaker or anything like that, because I definitely don't see us going that way. But let's see what we can get into. Looking at our base stats here, we do have an HP of 472, an attack of 222, defense of 182, special attack of 132, special defense of 182, and lastly a speed of 408, which is crazy high. Now, since we did have a level cap increase up to 120, these stats are assuming you max out your Grimsley and Liepard all the way up to level 20. The speed on this is insane, and it's just funny to me that everything ends in a 2. But basically, let's actually go over some moves here and see what we can actually do with these stats. So first move that we do have is Night Slash, which seems okay for a 2-bar move. 48 damage at max power, plus the fact that crits can land easier. That's a fine addition. Snatch, though, is the second move we're going to look at, which is actually really interesting. So Snatch is a 2-bar move, and it can only be used twice, but it will essentially remove any stat increases from the target and boost the stat increases on Liepard. So it's a very interesting setup, and I think it could be really, really amazing in some situations. Considering our base stats here, I do think that if we can basically steal physical attack or speed to just basically boost that speed even higher, I definitely think that's where Liepard is really going to start to shine whenever we can boost those. Next, we're going to take a look at All or Nothing, which sounds exactly like it should. Sharply raises the crit rate, drastically raises evasiveness, but drastically lowers our defense. And our defense isn't amazing to begin with on Liepard. So it could be good as a last-ditch effort to just try to mitigate any kind of damage that you foresee coming through. We know we can't dodge sync moves from the opponent in like solo or co-op or anything. So it would not really work in that scenario, but if you're on your last leg and you want to raise that evasiveness to try to get through just a tad bit more damage, it could help. It definitely could. Next is actually going to be Dark Pulse, which is actually our last move, technically, that we do have here. Dark Pulse has proven to be a great move on things like Karen with Houndoom, Mega Houndoom. But here on Liepard, it won't nearly be as insane as it could be on Mega Houndoom. The special attack difference between Liepard and Mega Houndoom is insane. It's so much bigger on Mega Houndoom that I don't think that Liepard is going to be doing an insane amount of damage, but it's definitely going to be our better move to try to push as much damage as we can. As far as our sync move goes, we do have Card Shark Night Slash, which is quite disappointing, unfortunately. But I do think it's kind of to be expected here. It does seem like most of the tech rolls have this, like, nerf done to their sync moves so that they don't actually have a huge strike potential. We only get 240 damage at max power on this thing, which, I mean, that's okay, but the best thing here is that if the opponent doesn't have any stat boosts, it actually has its power raised. So if you can think of a world where you can set up things using Snatch to actually steal all of your opponent's stat increases and then use your sync move to just really drive home some really good damage, it would actually be really cool. Lastly, we do have Lithe, which prevents us from being paralyzed. Okay, next let's actually move into some damage output. So, like I said earlier, I don't want anyone to expect a ton of damage coming from Liepard. It's just not going to be there, unfortunately. Our stats aren't amazing high. It's not like we're going to be out there spitting 0 damage the whole time. We're going to do damage, but it's not going to be an amazing amount of damage. It's not going to be anything surprising or anything we haven't seen yet. Almost think about Grimsley and Liepard as if you were trying to take away damage from the enemy. So Not necessarily like a rock sand situation where you could use Wide Guard or something like that, but imagine being able to steal the opponent's stat boosts. That's a really interesting position to be in, because in the scenario where the opponent is like boosting up that center position Pokemon and they're like coming up on a big sync move, let's say Sceptile basically has, you know, an insane stat boost going and you're getting ready to receive a sync move, but you snatch away those boosts that he has to his stats and you help mitigate a lot of the damage that he's going to do. You're not going to literally make it 0 or do anything crazy like that, but you're going to reduce by marginal percentage wise a ton of this damage, which is pretty interesting. In terms of utility, here's where I honestly think Grimsley has the chance to really shine. We've got a few ways to turn the tides against the enemies, and in solo, I can see some situations right before some large sync move like I just talked about, where Liepard can just kind of swoop in and take all of the advantage away based on those stat increases and kind of just strip the enemy team away from those boosts, which is gonna be really cool. In co-op though, I fear that it's basically gonna be up to a ton of coordination. And unless you're playing with a party of friends that know what they're doing, it's gonna be a really hard sell for me. But with loads of coordination between your teammates, or possibly even like a script of some sort where you know at this position, based on, you know, the majority of outcomes, you know, best time to use Snatch is right here so that you can take away this or mitigate that. That would actually be so amazing. I really do think that's where I would see Grimsley just really getting the most benefit out of his toolkit. When we take a look at future-proofing Grimsley here, I honestly do think that Grimsley is pretty much in this really unique position. And I think that he has enough uniqueness inside his package to really hold this position, even though it's a really weird hill that we're sitting on top of right now. I don't think many other sync pairs are going to have the toolkit that he has to accomplish the goals that he's really set up for, which makes him quite unique and quite future-proof in a lot of ways. I mean, is he going to be the best Dark-type attacker? No, not by a long shot. But is he going to be that one sync pair that can really help literally snatch away the enemy's buffs? That's interesting. Now looking at some team ideas, I'm not gonna lie, I was having a lot of trouble. So maybe it's because we're in that tech role, maybe it's because of this kit being so unique. I really just think that Grimsley fits best on a team depending on the opponent. So I feel like if you could choose a team to put Grimsley on, it wouldn't necessarily be a team that focuses around synergy. It would more focus around like anti the opposite team. Think of like an anti-meta team and possibly like a card game or like a counter pick and possibly Smash or something like that. I think that's where Grimsley really gets a lot of his uniqueness. It's the fact that you can put him on a team full of other misfits and you could take away what the enemy team has and use it against them. All those buffs that the enemy team can give themselves, how about no? Grimsley says give those to me. That is what I really think that Grimsley pairs well with, is not necessarily this cookie cutter mold type, you know, just stick him on this side and these other two sync pairs will boost him up and you'll do tons of damage. It's not really like that. It really does depend on what the enemy team is going to be. And if you were to try to optimize this, I do think that, like I said earlier, choosing a enemy that has attack and speed buffs is really where Grimsley's going to get the most out of him. Because his physical attack is at least a 222, that actually does set him up for some decent situations there. The problem is that it just kind of goes in weird with his moves and all that, you know. So all in all, I really do like the nature of Grimsley. I really do like how he's set up. But as far as like meta defining or game breaking prowess, I just don't see it, unfortunately. As always though, if Grimsley or Liepard are some of your fan favorites, then of course I think you should really put some effort into getting these, because I do think that when you have things in your arsenal that you enjoy using, not just because they're amazing, but just because you love them, that's going to make it worth it. But if you don't care necessarily that Grimsley or Liepard aren't your favorites, I honestly think we should kind of pass. And with all of the talk about what's coming up in the future, it'd probably be a pretty safe bet to pass anyways and save up for some more important things that we see in the near future. But that is actually going to be it for my thoughts on Grimsley and Liepard. Unfortunately, they haven't launched quite yet as of this recording, so we are just going to jump in and kind of do a little bit of a sync pair scout on a random banner at this point. Hopefully once Grimsley actually goes live, I can do a little bit of scouting for him. As you can see, I don't have a ton of gems anymore. I'm still recouping after the entire Glacia fiasco, but I'm, expecting quite a few gems to come in. We do have a few because of the rally checkpoint system, and we do have a few that they announced because of the legendary event that's coming up. So let's go ahead and get into this. We'll just do a quick regular sync pair scout here. Since we have gathered all of the 4 stars, all of the 3 stars, we just need a few 5 stars. I think basically it's Elisa, Hilda, and Blue at this point. I think I only need those 3. I seriously think it's down to 3, which is insane. It's insane to think about. I'm super ecstatic that I have everything that I have. And I would love to fill out the rest of these, but let's see. It's 4-star. It's Wilkstrom. He is pretty much the coolest knight that I know of. But that is actually going to be it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you want to join the Discord, jump down into the description. It is there for you to join. But until our next video on Pokemon Masters, I'm going to go ahead and head out and see you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Always remember that if you like to like videos, you could do that, but if you don't, you could be that guy. Otherwise, let me know what you have to say down in the comments below about the video. I do highly appreciate you guys watching. If you guys want to support me in any way, there are several links down in the description for Patreon, joining the community here on YouTube, or even just directly PayPal if that's your thing. I greatly appreciate everyone's name that's on screen, as you guys have showed some sort of support outside of just viewing the videos, and I thank you guys. You don't understand from the bottom of my heart. So until our next video, guys, I will catch you then.